All team, give it everything you got.
It's time to fangirl flail with Fangirls Going Rogue.
Count me in.
I don't think there's anything more important in the Star Wars universe than the fans.
News, discussion, and commentary from the female point of view.
You call this a diplomatic solution?
No, I call it aggressive negotiations.
With your hosts, Teresa Delgado, Trisha Barr, and Sarah Woloski.
Boy, am I glad to hear your voice.
Strap in, because this is where the fun begins.
I like the sound of that.
Hey, Young Cubs, and welcome to episode 61 of Fangirls Going Rogue. I am Teresa Delgado, one of your hosts, and with me are two women that I have missed so much for the past month. Sarah Woloski from Skywalking Through Neverland. My birthday twin, I've missed you.
I know. Oh, I was so sad. We couldn't record last month because we all were just so busy with all of our life craziness. Life happens, right?
Life happens. They say. That's what they say.
Yes.
And Trisha, I've barely talked to you because I haven't been on social media at all. And you've been off in the middle of ice.
Off the grid.
Off the
grid in ice. Yes, in Alaska. And even in Alaska, when you don't have the internet, you can find Star Wars. I was doing the tour of the engine room, and I happened upon, they have the little phone booth, and I imagined, the engineer down there going, "As captain, I'm getting more power from her." And there was a little TIE fighter figure.
Who is that supposed to be?
That was the worst Scotty ever.
Okay, it was supposed to be Scotty.
And this is why I have Star Trek on the brain, because apparently William Shatner was on the same boat 2 weeks before me.
Oh, man.
I was 2 weeks away from Captain Kirk.
So have you now, because of his aura being on the boat and everything, have you become just the biggest Star Trek fan instead of Star Wars, or no?
I've always been a Star Trek fan. It's a total myth that Star Wars fans aren't Star Trek fans or vice versa. That's just silliness.
It's very true.
I agree with that. Mm-hmm. It's true.
Although I am next generation. What are you?
I'm next generation too. I mean, Jean-Luc's the best, and Jean-Luc is coming back. So
yes.
I mean, come on. I'm ready. I'm ready for Jean-Luc.
Me too.
I'm new movies Star Trek, because I haven't sat down to, educate myself properly.
To engage?
Engage.
Oh!
Oh my God. That's what, fair warning, since we haven't talked in a month, that is what this podcast is going to be. Things like that. So we took a month off because #life. Mm-hmm. We've all had things going on. Sarah, I think what's going on with you is probably, maybe Alaska's more exciting. I don't know. But what's going on with you is pretty exciting.
Yes.
Even for me, and I don't even get to enjoy it.
Well, yes, I've been sharing on my Instagram. So, we had, all these issues with our house happen since May, actually. So it's been, 3-4 months. And one of the things that happened was there was damage, like water damage in our bathroom. So we literally had to gut the whole thing. And since we had to gut the whole thing, we had to make a whole new bathroom, which means I got to pick new tile, which meant I picked mermaid tile. And now my bathroom is an entire Ariel mermaid beach theme. So you walk in on this pebble tile, and then you look up and the bathtub has these mermaid scales, and it's awesome. It's like walking into your own very special spa. I love it.
It's really cool. And I find what's funny about that is, the last time I was there, I was like, "Hey, you should redo your bathroom."
Yeah. Oh, it was so ugly. It was black and white and just awful tile that was falling off the wall.
I remember. Yes. I'm so glad you got to redo it, though. That's really good.
Yes.
And then Trisha, you were in Alaska. For me, the entire past month has been all about sports and football and my new job and getting acclimated to my new job and figuring out what my life is going to look like. I still don't know the answer to that question, but I'm figuring it out. Let's go with that.
And wasn't that we talked on the last episode that Ashley Eckstein's book sort of inspired you to go and get this job?
Yeah. And it's funny. I've been told by my mom and my husband that they've seen a complete 180 change in my demeanor, my attitude, my confidence. So I'm really glad that I'm back in it because apparently I seem happier and more self-confident and all kinds of things.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
Ashley did inspire me to apply for the job and then I got it. And so here we are.
Woohoo.
Woo! All right, guys, we need to talk about some Star Wars because we have a lot of stuff going on. There's been a lot of things happening since we have not talked. And the first thing I want to mention are some cast rumors. Normally, I don't like to talk about rumors, but these two individuals, I have to.
Okay.
Because, oh my God. So it is rumored that Dominic Monaghan, who played Mary in Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, is going to be in episode 9. Oh my God.
He tweeted it, so I don't think it's a rumor anymore.
Okay.
Oh, he did tweet it. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he tweeted it, so I think I'm pretty confident, unless he's just really confident. But we'll say Mary's going to be in it.
Yeah, he did tweet and he said, boom, told you. Now, I have seen his show, Dom's Wild Things. This guy's just great. Everything about it. He's so entertaining. So I hope it's an actual character and not a cameo like the princes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but how many characters can we actually have?
I don't know.
Well, he might be you could never know. I mean, he could be 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's it. Or he could be like Simon Pegg. Hey, I'm in the movie, but you don't really see me.
Right.
So you never know. I think the other person, Matt Smith, is definitely a rumor. But I kind of feel like this could be a thing.
Oh, this better be a thing. If the Doctor merged with Star Wars, right now I'm thinking about it and I can't breathe because I'm just oh my God.
Well, see, for me, Matt Smith, he's on The Crown. He plays the
Prince Philip's
husband. Yeah, Prince Philip. Thank you. And so I know him from that. I don't know him from Doctor Who, but
it's okay. But he was a really good Doctor. I mean, my favorite Doctor is Dr. 9, but I also love David Tennant. I mean, they're all British. Mm-hmm. Star Wars is the home of British actors, so just put them in there.
Yeah. Except for Greg Grunberg, right?
Yeah, right. So excited. I hope it's true.
Well, here's a question, because one of these articles does mention Kerry Russell again. Now, I know last time we talked about Kerry Russell, and it was unconfirmed that she was in episode 9, but there was rumors. Is it still rumors, or are we confirmed? She is who I'm excited about.
Well, she was not in the original cast announcement when they first put it up, and that's happened since we recorded as well. And then about an hour later, they added her name.
Oh,
to the list. So yes, she's been confirmed.
Woohoo! Dancing in my shoes, dancing in my woo.
Because I remember I was reading the cast list and I'm like, wait, she's not there. And then they added her shortly after that. So
okay. Oh, I'm excited. Okay. Well, yay. I hope it's more than a cameo for her, too.
And then we have some other stuff, too. I guess Greg Grunberg has been confirmed. Remind me of who he is again?
Oh, Snap Wexley, yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, that's good.
So, again, another friend of J.J. Abrams, because Kerry Russell, obviously, Greg Grunberg, and then, Dominic, and who knows who else. But I'll be really cranky if Jessica Henwick doesn't come back as Jess Pava, because I really like that character. So I'm hoping to get more types of stuff like that. So I don't know. I like her.
we don't want to see Trisha cranky.
No, we don't.
Trisha is not fun.
Throwing my popcorn at the screen. No.
Then we'll have to feed her a tequila daisy and try to keep her happy. Geez.
Really excited that Kerry Russell was confirmed. So now I want to see what she's up to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And have you guys seen that Hayden Christensen's out? He's doing promotion for his new movie.
No.
You guys haven't seen that? He's what is it called? Little Italy? Oh, now I have to look it up.
I've just been out of it.
I haven't watched any TV except for The Office reruns.
Well, he went and played soccer, right?
Ooh.
He
played football.
He played football, yes. And then and then he did something else where he made a public appearance, and that now he's out doing press for his little movie. What is it called? Little Italy? Yeah, Little Italy. He's a pizza delivery guy, I think, in it.
So random.
I know it's so random, but anyway.
How old is he now?
Well,
I don't know, but he still looks like young. Anakin. I can't.
He still looks like he's 20 years old, like 21, 22. I'm like, he looks really good. He has to be closing on 40.
So he's got Richard genes.
Exactly.
Yes.
He went and got Richard's genes.
No, that's what Richard, like literally when I first met him, I thought he was in college, and it turns out he was like 36.
Wow, just outing Richard. Richard, she's calling you old.
Oh. Wait, what did you think? How old did you think he was? Now I'm curious.
No, I know how old he is.
Okay.
We've had this conversation.
Yes. It's like Trisha's age. You guys are like born the same year.
They were born when dinosaurs were born, right? When they had to walk to school through the snow.
We were
on.
born when Alaska was touching Russia, and you could just walk across. We were a part of the Great Migration during the Ice Age.
Did you ride a mammoth?
Saber-tooth.
I was gonna say the saber-tooth tigers. Those are my favorite.
Wow. Little Papenchi.
Wow.
All right. So we have some amazing news related to the Academy Awards, because we all know that I love award shows. Basically anything where people get judged is my favorite.
So American Idol was your thing.
I did like American Idol this season, actually. Oh. I did enjoy it.
Nice.
I like Dancing with the Stars more.
Oh, yes.
But
that's a separate conversation.
So the Oscars voted to present its Irving G. Thalberg Award to Kathleen Kennedy and Frank Marshall. This award is given to producers whose body of work reflect a consistently high quality of motion picture production. It was last given to Francis Ford Coppola in 2010. So, Trisha, tell me a little bit about do you know more about this? Like how it was decided, or like when they made this decision?
Well, it was just announced today, and we're recording this on September 5th. So it just came out. I think it's one of those things that they don't do every year, but they decide to honor people who maybe haven't gotten Academy Awards, or they just want to, value their body of work. And if you look what Marshall and Kennedy have done as a team, the different movies they've worked on, it would be I think it would be remiss to not acknowledge that from the Oscars, from the Academy, from the group that honors movies as a whole. So,
okay.
You have to do this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to do stuff like that. And apparently you also have to do stuff like this. So the Academy Awards has decided to add a new category. And I think the title of this article that we have from theverge.com sums it up. The Academy Awards have added a new category so superhero movies can win Oscars too. A lot of this goes back to the ratings for the Academy Awards and those ratings going down, despite them trying to change some of the stuff to make them more relevant. I think part of the problem with the Academy Awards is for Best Feature or Best Picture, it's always movies nobody's ever seen,
right,
or things that were only in theaters for like a week or something like that. I mean, I remember back in the day in like the 90s where it was actually like the big movies.
Yeah, like Braveheart and
Titanic.
Yeah.
Things. And so what's interesting about this, though, is that this is the first new edition since 2001 when they made the category for Best Animated Feature. And they did that because Beauty and the Beast won the Best Picture.
Well, it was nominated.
It was nominated. But then they didn't win, did they? They were just nominated,
No.
right?
Correct.
But, you know, also we had like the big surge of animation and all that. And so they got their own category. So this is the first time in a long time. And back in 2009, they increased the popular or like the Best Picture category to a maximum of 10. And I think that was originally intended to include the big blockbusters, the superhero movies, but it didn't. We just got more like, what is this?
Yes.
Who's heard of this movie?
More movies that you have to see before you see the Academy Awards.
Yeah. So now there is the Popular Film Award category.
And I think to be qualified, they have to make over a certain amount in the box office. Is that the qualification?
Yeah. So there was a tweet from Mark Harris. He's at Mark Harris NYC. He says, "It truly is something that in the year Black Panther, a movie made just about entirely by and with Black people grosses $700 million. The Academy's reaction is, we need to invent something separate but equal."
Oh.
But yeah, so they have to, there's certain qualifications, and I haven't read through all of it, but basically what we're saying is Star Wars might win an Academy Award.
Woohoo!
Well, it's really weird because I remember in the 80s, a lot of popular movies won for Best Picture.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just sort of now this thinking that, well, you can't do both, when I actually feel like, especially in some of the categories, Black Panther could contend and possibly overall. And it was a weird announcement because now it's almost like, well, you can be popular or you can be good, and you can't be both. So like,
that's such crap.
I'm like, I think you can be.
Yeah.
I don't see why you couldn't be. So it was. I understand what they're struggling because the most popular movies aren't getting acknowledged, but it's almost felt like recently they voted for not popular movies. I mean, this is their own body, right? Their own governing body, and they're voting, and they're not voting for those movies. So maybe they're saying to those movies, you need to do better. You need to try harder. And
well,
or they might just be wanting to say, we don't want to have to, answer to the audience. I don't know, but it feels like this is just kind of a way to appeal and appease the people who are putting it on and falling ratings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really going to work. They need to look a little bit harder at the whole process and what film is doing and why it's turning certain people off.
Right.
And
well, what I find interesting about it is like a movie, it's so subjective. What is a good movie? And the Academy thinks that a good film must be thought-provoking and change your perspective on life, whereas the regular movie audience goer just wants to enjoy themselves for 2.5 hours. And a good movie can be both things, or a good movie can just be that nice little enjoyment. Like, there's perfectly amazing nuggets of movies that, they don't change your perspective on life, but they're just amazing little polished gems, like even if you think about it, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Black Pearl, the first one, like that's an amazing movie just on its own, set aside, and it doesn't have to be this crazy thought-provoking thing. So I would totally
agree with you. I mean, I found an article on CNN that kind of adds to this, but films like Titanic and Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, Forrest Gump, like they were big box office earners and they won the Best Picture. So I don't understand how they can't be. I mean, just because it's a Star Wars movie or just because it's a Marvel movie doesn't mean that it's not a great film.
Yeah.
Or like Black Panther. Black Panther is a great film and deserves to be recognized in the Best Picture category. I also have had this problem with the animated movies having their own category. I get why they do, but at the same time, some of those animated movies are the best pictures of the year. So why does it have to be exclusive? I mean, sure, have the category for popular film, but if a movie like Black Panther it can get nominated in both.
Right.
You know, but I think I don't know. But whatever, I'm going to watch it and I'm going to print my ballot and I'm going to vote for which one I thought was best, i.e. Star Wars.
Yes. But just so you know, this won't take effect until 2020.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. It won't be in effect until 2020, but you know, I'll be watching then too.
Maybe it'll be like Brexit and it won't actually happen.
Well,
but Trisha, I did pull this for you. I got it off of Jedi News, but Oscar Isaac was asked about this and his opinion. And he said, "It seems pretty stupid. I don't really understand it. I haven't read the rules of the thing. It seems pretty dumb, but I guess that's above my pay grade." He goes on to say, "I don't really understand what it means. Who accepts the award? What's the criteria? Is it based off of box office? I don't get it." And then he said, "The reason why people get awards and why they don't now is already a slippery slope. Another category seems a little meaningless, but maybe not any more than the rest of it is."
He's hit it on the head because they want to make the whole thing shorter, but they add another category. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay.
But now they're going to present some of the awards during the commercial break to make it shorter. You know what? Just leave it how it is. Show us all of the winners. Or if you're going to, like, I don't need to see who won Best Foreign Film.
Or the documentaries. Or
No, documentaries I like because that's how I learn about new documentaries. But there's some of the ones that I don't
shorts. The shorts are kind of boring.
Yeah, I'm okay without the shorts. I don't need that. Yeah. But then again, it's like you're taking away that moment for those people that did the work to win those awards, and then they don't get to be on TV. So that's kind of a jip.
Well, I could see them airing certain things on the app or something like that. You know,
or live stream. Here, how about this? TV shortened. Watch the live stream. You can see the whole thing.
Yeah,
I'm down for that.
Yeah, there you go.
I like that. Right. People love the behind the scenes.
Why don't people listen to us and then pay us?
I don't know. But you know what? They should listen to us about Galaxy's Edge.
Woo! Galaxy's Edge.
Because we love our Star Wars and our Disney, and they're coming together in Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland and Walt Disney World. And now we have reports that John Williams may be scoring some music for Galaxy's Edge, which is awesome. So this comes via Jedi News and comicbook.com. And it looks like, this is a rumor though, but it looks like John Williams and Michael Giacchino will be writing and scoring music, like the walk around music for Galaxy's Edge in both theme parks. So both for Disneyland and Walt Disney World, which is great. And it makes a whole ton of sense because, you know, Michael Giacchino is no stranger to Disney parks music. In fact, his latest, he had composed the music for the Incredicoaster, which I still haven't been on.
Man.
I know. That's okay. I'm going to Mickey's Halloween party in a couple weeks, so I'll be doing that. I know. Woohoo.
Who better to get you in the mood though than John Williams?
I know. I'm excited. And also, Michael Giacchino has scored, he's done arrangements of music for When You Walk Down Main Street. A lot of that music is now arranged by Michael Giacchino.
He's like Disney's little dude now.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
It's like he's taking their place of the Sherman Brothers. Not taking the place, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. He's like stepping into the shoes. I think that's a better way of saying it.
So apparently, too, when we go to Galaxy's Edge, we'll be able to have a cocktail.
Yes.
Oh yeah, this I did see, and it did light up the internet a little bit. Like, there's some diehard Disney fans or Disney park fans that are not happy about this.
Well, here, let's preface it. So, the Cantina in Galaxy's Edge will be called Oga's Cantina. Now, this is according to Disney Parks blog. So this is not rumored. This is actual fact. We're going to have Oga's Cantina, and it will be having, let's see, let me read from the blog. It says, patrons of the Cantina come from across the galaxy to sample the famous concoctions created with exotic ingredients using otherworldly methods served in unique vessels. With choices for kids and libations for adults, the Cantina will make for a great stop. What? Libations? When traditionally Disneyland has been dry? Ah! I'm excited.
So you're good with it?
I'm good with it. I already will have some drinks over at DCA, and then head on over to Disneyland and ride a ride. So it's fun.
Yeah, I just know there's quite a few people that want Disneyland to stay true to what Walt Disney's was his opinion, which was not to have that kind of stuff in the park so that it doesn't disturb the experience or whatever. And I get it. But, you know, Disney World already has alcohol in, what is it? And Be Our Guest restaurant.
Does it?
So, yeah.
Yeah, you can get wine and beer at a few of the table service restaurants. So you know, so I completely understand it, but at the same time, you know, the parks have to innovate and change always.
Yes.
And you know, I do enjoy the fact that the parks were, or some of them were dry, but I don't know. I mean, I can see why.
Right.
And they may do a thing where you can't leave with it. Like it has to stay in Galaxy's Edge, which I would prefer. If they're going to do it, just keep it in Galaxy's Edge. Like you can't leave with it. It just has to stay there, which is fine. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, it probably, you know, the license to usually whether you could roam or not, they're not going to pay for a license for it to go outside of a specific area. I don't think, because it would cost them too much. So, and because it's unique to that area, I understand totally. It's supposed to be this outpost, and you see all types of people, and usually the cantinas where, you know, we think Star Wars and where you get the vibe and people having a drink. I mean, even Obi-Wan had a drink, right?
And if Obi-Wan can have a drink, then there you go.
I just want to know if we're going to see arms lopped off in this cantina.
I know. Well, it says we're going to see maybe familiar, maybe unfamiliar people stopping in, or people or aliens.
Well, then an arm has to get lopped off. It just has to happen. I want to know how they're imagineering this. No,
yes.
But I just feel like you kind of have to go with the vibe. But you could certainly have guests who go from DCA over to into Disneyland when you're talking about Disneyland, who have had drinks. So I don't think this is going to change the kind of quote vibe of the place. And so,
yeah, I don't think so either. But one thing in Oga's Cantina, Captain Rex will be there. He's going to be the DJ.
That's awesome. That's weird, though.
And of course, that's Captain Rex from Star Tours. So not Captain Rex from...
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. I'm like, that's weird.
Sorry, folks. I'm sure to do better next time. It was my first flight, and I'm still getting used to my programming. Hey!
It is RX-24. So he's the pilot droid, you know? That's voiced by Paul Rubens. And this is exciting because now Paul Rubens will still get his lifetime pass to Disneyland. Because in his contract for Captain Rex, it said that as long as his voice was still being used at Disneyland, he would have a pass to go there.
How do you know this?
Because I talked with the Imagineer who hired him.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I was like, creeper? Much?
No, it's on one of the Skywalking Through Neverland episodes. Mark, it's about Star Tours, so you'd have to look up.
Gosh, Teresa, if you would listen to my podcast that I do.
No, it's okay. No, but I just remember that nugget of information. It was like, oh, that's cool. That's what I would put in my contract if my voice was ever used. I mean, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'm excited for Galaxy's Edge. Yeah, I would. And I'm excited about the whole thing, especially with reading Thrawn Alliances, and it has information on Batuu.
Yes.
So that's
Although I
pretty
don't
cool.
remember it being called Oga's Cantina in there.
I don't think it is.
Okay.
So it may be a different cantina, but yeah. If you haven't read Throne Alliances, you should read it. Just saying. Now, there is a huge piece of news.
Okay.
Huge. And Sarah, I'm just going to let you play a little bit of what was shown at San Diego Comic-Con.
All right, Rex. What's so important that you brought us all the way back here?
Hello, Master. It's been a while.
So we're back.
All right, guys, the Clone Wars has been saved. Woohoo! So who's excited? Because I'm excited. Everybody's excited? I'm assuming.
Very excited. I'm really sad I missed that panel because a certain Matt Lanter was on there. Damn it.
Oh, but Sarah, also Timeless got a little saved too.
Yes.
With a movie to finalize and save Rufus. So Matt Lanter got double saved in the last the last couple of months. But he should be saved all the time if he could. I really honestly, people were getting hyped before this 10th anniversary panel. They were like, they're going to announce more Clone Wars. And I'm like, no way. No, I wasn't saying that. It was just my head. It's never going to happen. Mm-hmm. So when they announced it, I was like, dude, they really did that. I was like so excited because I was, kind of like if you don't get your hopes up, then I was like, and then they announced it. I'm like, oh, dude, that's really awesome. Some of the episodes that they're talking about, doing the Siege of Mandalore are the ones that I wanted to see.
Yes,
definitely.
So we're in this kind of time where I'm like, whoa, this is so awesome. And then it should have made sense because Ashley had the picture of all the cast together with the outfits, and
that was so adorable.
For the Her Universe line. So I was just kind of like, why would they all be together? And then I guess they were all together. So it was so crazy awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. So essentially, if you haven't heard the news, the Clone Wars has been saved, more or less. So what we're getting 12 all new episodes of the Clone Wars, and it's going to be covering some of the stuff that they wanted to tell stories about that they didn't get to. And it's going to be on Disney's direct-to-consumer streaming service. So this is the only issue that I've heard people kind of complain about, is that it's going to be on the streaming service. But come on, guys, we all know we're all buying this.
Yeah, isn't it called Disney Play? Didn't they announce it?
They took that was retracted. It was announced by Variety that it was Disney Play, but then they realized that they did that in error. So we don't actually know what it's going to be called.
Okay.
But we all know we're getting the streaming service. Why would you not, first of all?
Well, yeah.
You're going to have access to everything Disney's basically ever done. So just cancel one of your other things if it's a problem. We don't know how much it's going to cost, but I'm going to pay for it. So I'm excited to get 12 new episodes. I don't know how they're going to be released. We'll see if they do a binge release or if they'll, release a couple episodes at a time or whatever. We don't know anything about that. But we do know the poster is way cool. It's a Clone Wars helmet with Ahsoka's markings on it.
Yeah.
And the thing was, apparently people were still writing letters to Lucasfilm and to Kathleen Kennedy asking for the show to be saved.
Wow.
And they finally stopped coming and they got thank you letters. So isn't that awesome?
It is great. Really cool. I mean, it does really say that Star Wars does listen to the fans. So,
yeah, and people really want closure, whether it's Clone Wars or Timeless.
Well, definitely, I don't think there was any indication for the people who are fans of the Clone Wars. We just thought, George is running the show and he'll do it as long as he wants to, and he'll tell us when he's ready. And so they are getting to do the things that a lot of people wanted to see. And the nice thing is the people who were kids when the Clone Wars started they're going to be a little older, and Siege of Mandalore is going to be okay for them now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know that this is a show that you would necessarily drop your young kids into in the way that Star Wars Resistance is. But this show, the kids that started on the Clone Wars are fans of it. This will be a little more adult. I mean, the Siege of Mandalore is when stuff gets real. So, you know, they can go where they want to and not have things, you know, lobbed out of it and stuff like that. So I'm excited to be able to see closure and do things the way maybe they were hoping they could do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the whole Clone Wars, we're actually rewatching the Mandalorian arc right now with with Satine and Obi-Wan and Maul and everything, because it's been so long since I watched it. And wow, there's like some moments in there where, you know, heads are lopped off and stuff. And it's like, oh my, this is not a kid's show.
Well, you remember they made them take the Asajj, what does she kiss the clone right when she runs them through? They made them take that out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's not in, I think it's in the DVD version or something, but it was, yeah. I recently had to go back and watch all of the Clone Wars, and I watched them in chronological order, which it makes so much more sense than when you watch it that way. But it's really weird because you'll be like in the middle of season 3 and all of a sudden you have to watch an episode one and you're like, wow, they were really primitive when they started.
Yes.
It can be really distracting. So, but it's cool.
Well, speaking of the Clone Wars, it just so happens that we spoke with Ahsoka Tano herself, Ashley Eckstein. We were going to put that conversation right here, but it turned into a really awesome hour-long fangirl chat about her book, her universe, geeky things like Hot Callus, and if we did put that right here, this podcast episode would be 3 hours long. And we know our Yub Cubs don't have that kind of time, so look for a special bonus episode this month featuring Ashley Eckstein.
But since we're already talking about Star Wars animation, let's talk Star Wars Resistance.
Can you imagine what it's like to be an ace pilot? This is your chance to make that true.
I've got a mission for you.
Yes!
Blend in, find out who's loyal to the good guys and who isn't.
You can work on my team.
Get ready to be impressed.
But when it comes to your mission as a spy, I don't want anything to do with it.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
I just wanted to wish my competition good luck.
This is fine. I'm fine.
Just be careful and don't explode.
I'll do my best.
This should be good.
Here we go.
Star Wars Resistance, an all-new series, premieres Sunday, October 7th at 10 on Disney Channel.
Yes!
So what did you guys think?
I thought that Trisha's boyfriend looks amazing.
That's true. That is a true statement.
Poe Dameron. Like, all the other characters were cute, but we don't really know them yet. So I was like, oh, that's very animated. And then Poe came on, and I'm like, ooh, he looks sexy.
They even did like the raised eyebrow thing he does.
Yeah, I know. So I saw the trailer for it and I'm like, okay, this is going to be cool. I'm going to like it. But I was just rewatching it right now, and even more so, I'm like, this is going to be great. I do really like anime. I don't watch it very much anymore, but I think this is going to be fun. It's going to be really fun.
Well, I totally just dig the whole kind of racer vibe with them dashing around in these things. And it looks like it's not going to be as much war, but more kind of a fun intrigue as we get to see them, like Poe's mentoring this Taz, that's his name, right? Kaz. I gotta learn all these names.
We're gonna end up calling him Taz.
You know, as he gets to like learn about the First Order, and so we get to learn about them too. So it's just so excited about. I loved like Speed Racer and all the anime when I was a kid, and I kind of got that Speed Racer vibe. So I loved it. I was excited.
Yeah, it's very Speed Racer-y, I would say. Very anime, and it's interesting. All the characters seem to have this like glow around them. Like a light glow. It's like very opposite of Clone Wars. As I'm watching the Mandalorian arc, it's so dark and everything's so gritty. And even the skin of Maul is like, it looks like paper that you could flake off or something. Whereas this is very shiny and bright and just so opposite. So I'm really intrigued. And I mean, just seeing the trailer, it's a little like, whoa, this looks so different than what we've seen before. But then I remember thinking that for Star Wars Rebels and then consequently fell in love with the show. So I think if, you just give it a moment, give it a chance and just get to know these characters, I think everything will fall into place for Resistance.
I agree. I do think it's interesting that Kaz has a green outfit because we kind of associate sort of like a green and yellowish sort of color scheme with Rebels and with Kanan. And I also think it's interesting that the lead character's name starts with a K. So I'm like, can we just get something completely different so that it's not a Kanan Kaz comparison?
And it is also kind of a young boy character.
Yeah,
which
and he has shortish
like
hair on the top.
And Ezra has Z in the name. Kaz. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I would like to point out the name of Donald Faison's character.
Yes.
Hype Faison.
What is it called?
Fazon.
Hype. They were kind of going with the whole, let's just go with the Savage Opress. So we're going to go Hype Faison.
I like it. There's lots of Z's here. Tora Doza, Niku Vozo.
They wanted to see how hard they could make it for us. But remember back in the day when we were practicing saying Lupita Nyong'o before every episode, so we didn't say it wrong, and now we can say it. So we'll get them. We'll get them eventually. It's like the worst things is knowing you're going to pronounce something wrong before a podcast, and you do it because you convince yourself you can't say it. What do you guys think of the fact that we're going to see Leia still in this? We know that Poe's in there. It's about the Resistance. So we have Rachel Butera providing the voice of Leia Organa.
Yeah, what do we know about some of these voice actors and Rachel Butera specifically? Where might we have heard some of their work before? Because some of the names are familiar, but a lot of them aren't for me.
So I don't have... Hold on, let me look up Rachel Butera really quickly.
While she's looking it up, I will say that a couple months before this announcement, Rachel had tweeted a picture of the Leias having lunch together. And I was like,
oh yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute. Or I don't know if it was she tweeted it and one of the other Leias did, but I was like, I don't know her as Leia. And then I was wondering what's going on? And then this was announced. So I was like, okay, that's cool.
Well, there you go. So Rachel is best known for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles TV series, 2015. Also, Cab Ride to Hell. That is. Tom and Jerry, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I think that's a particular movie. So it's a bunch of animated stuff. Rocky and Bullwinkle, 2018. Family Guy. She played Meryl Streep. Interesting.
Whoa.
Yeah, which gets you really whoa.
Whoa. Okay. Wait a minute. I know, right? So apparently she's got that kind of a voice down.
For people don't realize, and Meryl Streep played Carrie Fisher's character in Postcards from the Edge. So it's really a weird loop there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm excited to hear her voice now. That's cool. Knowing she played Meryl Streep. But if we go to Kaz, our main character, he's played by Christopher Sean. And Christopher Sean, he's a Japanese American. He was in Hawaii Five-0. And he's best known for Days of Our Lives as Paul Nartita. He was on it from 2014 to 2018. So
the Days of Our Lives.
Yes. And then you have Scott Lawrence, who has an amazing deep voice as Jarek Yeager. And he is best known, he was in Avatar. And he's also in Legion as Dr. Poole.
People have seen him in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Like he shows up in a lot of TV shows, and
he's a big character actor.
Yeah,
he's in Star Trek Into Darkness.
That's right. Yes.
And Fear the Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm. But he's going to be our father figure of the group. So what do you guys think about having a father figure rather than like Hera as a mother figure?
Sure, well, I think it's more like the grumpy, reluctant father figure as opposed to Hera, who is kind of like bringing the team together. I don't know that if Yeager really wants to be participating.
So it's kind of like the Mary Tyler Moore show. Lou Grant. Sorry. Lou Grant is on Mary Tyler Moore, but he's, that grumpy, unassuming guy with the heart of gold underneath.
And you could see Scott Lawrence talk a little bit about the character in the Meet Team Fireball little video that they did on StarWars.com.
I am Scott Lawrence. I play Jarek Yeager.
Yeager kind of represents the old school. Yeager was a pilot for the Rebellion.
Now he's just trying to live his life as mainly a mechanic on this installation in the middle of nowhere.
And he unfortunately keeps getting pulled back into the action.
Yeager, he's the father figure of Team Fireball, and causes a lot of trouble and a lot of grief for Yeager.
And I think we're going to get some more of that, like Meet the Pilots. So I'm excited to see that. Come on, Tracy Canobio, bring it on. The other character that looks kind of funny is Niku, played by Josh Brenner. He says he's like always positive and really brilliant. And some of his lines were really funny.
I once had a pet named Lucky that reminded me of home. And then it died. And then I ate it.
I'm excited to see. I think I'm gonna like his character a lot, I hope. Because he seems a lot like Judy Hopps or something, that kind of happy-go-lucky thing.
Yeah, Josh Brenner had a really, really brief appearance in Star Wars Rebels in a couple of episodes. He was in the new DuckTales series as well.
Okay.
So,
as for an actor, he's been on The Big Bang Theory and in The Internship with Sabine.
Yeah, I think I know him mostly from Silicon Valley, from episodes of that I've seen.
Okay.
And then we have Susie McGrath playing Tam. It's one of the pilots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she comes from across the pond. So she was in Law and Order UK and EastEnders, both shows which never seen. But her accent sounds amazing.
You ready to be impressed, Tam?
I'm completely ready.
It does. And she used to be a racer, but now she's a mechanic. So maybe it'll get her back in the cockpit.
Yes.
And then we haven't really learned too much about Flix and Orca.
No,
but you know what I'm noticing? They really did pull quite a few people from the DuckTales series, because we've got Bobby Moynihan, Jim Rash, who was on DuckTales as well. So Disney's definitely pulling from the inside, which I think is kind of cool and interesting at the same time.
Well, Bobby Moynihan has been doing his Saturday Night Live Star Wars skits forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a total fanboy. Total.
Well, and so is Donald Faison. As we saw.
Oh, yeah, we know. Yeah, we saw that.
Or we heard him scream from the back of the room. The first question? Yep. Was that what it was for the finale of Rebels, when we got to see that at the studios? So that was kind of funny. It was like, well, we should have known.
Exactly.
Well, there's one that we haven't talked about, Myrna Velasco, who's playing Tora. I'm probably most excited for her because she plays a character named Carla Delgado in Elena of Avalor, which I've seen that whole series. So I'm pumped for that.
Nice.
Because I love Elena. So I'm excited about her.
Now, who does she play? Is she in the trailer as that other woman who Kaz is fighting against or competing?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, because that was one thing that piqued my interest in the trailer. Was there was this girl who I guess she and Kaz were like in competition somehow, and then she didn't turn up in Team Fireball, so I don't know anything about her, but I liked her.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that. We won't really. I won't put it all together until I see the show.
Right.
Which we should probably say debuts on October 7th. Ooh. So if you're at all interested in Star Wars Resistance, it will be debuting on Sunday, October 7th at 10 p.m. Eastern Pacific on Disney Channel, Disney Now, and Disney Channel Video on Demand, with subsequent airings on Disney XD.
I think that's the same night Doctor Who premieres, too.
Oh, of course it is. Jeez.
One thing I'm excited for is that it's been confirmed that it's 6 months before The Force Awakens.
Okay.
So I feel like we'll get some context about things that happened from this, as episode 9 is coming in, that we'll maybe get some more knowledge and information about what was happening.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because in the behind the scenes reel, Dave Filoni does mention that this is kind of outside of the galactic conflict occurring at the time, like this whole series takes place. So we will get to learn a little bit more about a different part of the galaxy. And I think the thing I'm most excited for is maybe just kind of that dovetailing of this series with perhaps some of the events from the films, if it's set so close to like The Force Awakens. So if you think about it, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that TV series, it was going along, and then you watched Winter Soldier, where S.H.I.E.L.D. got infiltrated by the bad guys, Hydra, and then all of a sudden that kind of showed up in the TV series, like the next week. So maybe we'll get some kind of crossover things like that.
Or maybe they'll fill in all the gaps when they do a huge time jump between 8 and 9. Any time jump between 7 and 8. So there's no gaps to fill in.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right. Well, let's move on to our shout outs. Roll it, Rob Dellinger.
Shout it out to the social media from Teresa and Trisha and Sarah. Shout it out, fangirl shout outs.
I want to personally thank Matt Clifton for sharing the Captain Marvel EW article news in our Facebook discussion group, because I was like, whoa, we're getting Captain Marvel stuff. It's coming. And yes, we are Star Wars fans, but we're allowed to be fans of other things. And this is, I think, it seems like the whole community is excited about Captain Marvel.
Absolutely. Oh, how was that again? So, Trisha, when you were sitting at your desk and you saw this, did you go, whoa?
Yeah, it was kind of like that. Whoa.
I love it.
Well, what I got a kick out of was Marvel. They said, get your beepers ready. And they posted a picture of, the pager that they had at the end of Infinity War. And I was like, it's not a beeper, it's a pager. I mean, this is like how, like, the social media team's like, I don't even know what they're called.
That is pretty funny.
Get your beepers ready. Remember when everybody used to, you'd say, oh, they must be important, they have a pager. Yeah. They're wearing a pager on their belt, because then it would go off, and then you would have to go to a payphone, or you'd have to go to the front of the restaurant and say, can I use your phone? Yeah. Nobody had cell phones because they were enormous. They were bricks.
Yes.
Speaking of bricks, Ryan Stampley, he shared an image of the new Lego Star Wars Advent calendar on our Facebook group. And I had been waiting to talk about this. These just came out on September 1st in Lego stores and on lego.com. And there are 3 Advent calendars, but the one we care about the most is going to be Lego Star Wars. Although the Lego Friends one is pretty awesome, just saying. But in this Lego Star Wars Advent calendar, there are 25 days of little small Lego builds, and they're so fun. I did the one from last year, and it was really, really great. And on the packaging for this one, every year they show a few of the models that are in there. They don't show everything, but they show a few. And Rose Tico is front and center. So if you don't have a Rose minifigure, this will be a really cool way to get it. They are $39.99 for the Advent calendars. And if you are thinking about getting one, you need to buy one now because they usually sell out everywhere before like the beginning of November, or right by the beginning of November.
Wow.
So if you see it, grab it. There's another cool model. Of course, we don't know what days these are going to be, but there's a little snowman wearing an X-Wing pilot helmet.
Cute.
It's awesome. Now, the one thing I'm really excited for in this is a minifigure of Rowan Freemaker from the Freemaker Adventures. I'm pumped about that. And then all the little vehicles are always so much fun to build.
Yeah.
There's like a little TIE fighter, a little Naboo plane.
Yeah, a little Naboo thing, a little land speeder. So I have a question for you, because I have bought a Star Wars Advent calendar before. But then what do you do after you open up everything? Like, do you display stuff? Do you like put it back in its packaging? What do you do?
So my advent calendar from this past year, I have all the little models back in their little door, and I like just gently taped it closed because I don't have anywhere to put them. But what you can do, because all of the models fit on base plates, is you can go to the Lego store and you can get a base plate and you can kind of figure out how to arrange them on there. You could make like a little diorama, like inside of, I've done it before with like shoe boxes where you put them on top of each other, you know, and sort of display and like wrap them in really cool paper or whatever. You can make little dioramas out of them, or you can play with them. You can do all kinds of stuff, but I just think they're really fun. Something else that you could probably do with some of these, you might have to get a few of your own Lego pieces. You might be able to turn them into ornaments.
Okay.
That's one of the cool things about the Lego Friends Advent Calendar this year, is that they are all ornaments that you can put on the tree. That's one of the reasons I want it.
Well, that's adorable.
A little bit of Lego in your life every day during December.
Seeing Rose on that Advent calendar makes me think about the article that she wrote, Kelly Marie Tran, who now is we know her as Tran Lone, as she wrote the article that she did remove her Instagram account because of harassment. That was never confirmed until she specifically wrote about it. So it was very uplifting to read that article and see everybody kind of rally around her a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit more about that article? I know it exists, but I haven't had a chance to read it.
Well, she just talked about how she felt marginalized and how people say enough times that you don't matter that you start to believe it. And just, you know, she just had such a great energy, but it can be so hard for these actresses because they just have to contend with people who just want to make them miserable. And I'm frustrated sometimes because I know there are people who are just haters, but and sometimes they say, well, Star Wars fans are the worst because it feels like these are Star Wars fans. But these people just are miserable that are harassing people like her. Now Daisy Ridley's, you know, not gone on social media. And, you know, we talk a lot about just these actresses that come and go and it's hard for them. And not everybody can be John Boyega, who just is like, yeah, go, whatever. Flip off and I don't care. So, you know, it was nice to see her come out and acknowledge what had happened to her and say that she's here. And also, I mean, she gives us her name, the name that she's known by. And Kelly Marie is a name she's, you know, taken as an American actress. So that was kind of nice for her to see her acknowledge that. And it happened in the same week as Crazy Rich Asians, just taking off at the box office. And
that's awesome.
I don't know. Have you guys seen that movie?
No.
Not yet. I want to. I just haven't. I haven't made it out.
The best. And then the same week they had What to All the Boys I've Loved Before on Netflix.
Oh, that movie's great. I have watched that.
That's fantastic. So another movie with an Asian lead. So it, you know, in this, I don't know, maybe if that made her feel empowered or made her feel stronger to have that kind of, you know, riding that wave of feeling really positive. But yeah, definitely it was nice to see her kind of get her legs back under herself and get back. She's back to filming 9. So she's maybe in her safety net too.
Yeah. Nice. And I guess it's pronounced Loan, actually. Her name.
Yes.
Loan. So yeah. So Loan or Kelly Marie Tran. That's pretty cool. Well, speaking of Star Wars female characters, we had a Saturday night discussion that was posted by Sandra on our Twitter, and she posts these every week on Twitter and in our Facebook group, and we've gotten some really great discussions, and she posted this question: who is your favorite Star Wars female character and why? And then she had some pictures of female characters just so you can get an idea. And we had some great comments on this discussion, including Ryan Johnson, who weighed in on our Saturday night discussion. So, Ryan Doyle, who is at Ryan W. Doyle, he tweeted, I think Daisy Ridley's performance has been getting overlooked, especially in The Last Jedi. All the praise has been going to Driver and Hamill, and for good reason, but Ridley has had to handle so much more than any of the other actors, and she pulls it off in spades. To which Ryan Johnson tweeted back, couldn't agree more. Daisy is incredibly talented. So, I know, that was pretty awesome. So then, of course, we got a ton of more replies on our Saturday night discussion. So thanks, Ryan Johnson. We appreciate that.
That was kind of fun because I know Sandra shared it in the group, and she shared like a screen cap of it, and I didn't look at it at the screen cap, and then I went back to it later. I'm like, holy moly, Ryan Johnson! And while we're at it, we should wish Sandra a happy birthday because hers is coming as well as yours. So happy birthday! I don't know, this might be belated by the time it gets to you, but happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Sandra!
Happy birthday!
Sidious, Anakin, Luke and Leia, Qui-Gon Jinn, C.O. Bibble, Kylo Ren, Salacious Crumb, Bib Fortuna, Boba Fett, Amidala, Wicket, R2-D2, BB-8, I can barely keep it straight. It's a character discussion. It's the Fangirls on character. It's a character discussion.
All right. It is time for a character discussion. And I know, Trisha, you brought this up. I was so proud of you. I felt like I had passed on to you the magic of picking really odd things as a character discussion.
When are we going to get back to a regular character?
I wasn't sure, like, if I was like way out there, I'm like, they're going to think I'm nuts. But
no, this is fantastic. Okay, so when are we going to get back to an actual character, Sarah? The answer is right now.
Okay.
The Force. We are going to talk about the Force as a character because honestly, it is a character. It's like the Millennium Falcon. It's like the Ghost. It's its own embodiment of a character that we see talked about in books and in movies and in TV shows and just all kinds of things. And it's just amazing. So this is a really good question that you guys put in here. So let's all pitch in on it. How would you describe the Force? And you cannot use Obi-Wan's words. You just can't.
Okay.
I'm taking that away.
Can we use Yoda?
No.
Can we use?
It has to be. Okay. Let's go back. Let's go back to school. You are not allowed to plagiarize.
I was just going to tell Sarah to put in.
You must come up with your own original idea.
You were going to tell me to put in the audio?
Maybe.
Yes.
Well, I know how Obi-Wan would describe it.
The Force is what gives the Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together.
Okay, so I think I would describe it as mysterious. And I say that because I think what pulls us in and draws us into this concept of the Force is that it is mysterious. And we don't quite know exactly what it is. And like in this world, we don't have anything like it, or we probably have something like it, but we don't, like, we can't kinetically turn off the lights. Although, show of hands, who has dreamed about, like, using the Force in their dreams? Because I totally have.
All the time.
No.
So that's my description of the Force. It's mysterious, and it has to be. Otherwise, it wouldn't be the Force.
All right. So my description of the Force, I'm really trying hard not to use the words that I've read or heard or whatever. But I think for me, it is a way to view the world and to connect with the world around you. Similar to, I know they talk about it as a religion, but I don't really aspire to more of religions as I do to faith and a belief in a higher power of sorts. And I feel like that is sort of what the Force can be in this galaxy, is a way to feel like you're not completely alone, and like there's something out there that has got you when you fall, and that can help you navigate life. Does that make sense? I don't know.
No, it totally does. I love that.
Well, it does to me, because I think the Force represents every person throughout time has always struggled with their mortality and why we're here. What's our purpose? What am I doing? And so people, they go to religion or they go to science or they go to different things. And the Force sort of represents that in different ways. What we go to is, why are we here? Is there a greater purpose? Does something bring us here? Is there something that we're going to go to and come back from? Because we look at the Force as being, Force ghosts. So for some, it's like, will I exist beyond this? And the Force ghost kind of suggests that, well, if you do the right thing and you're a good person, you can. Or if you do all sorts of bad things and then you make a good decision, you can come back and be Force ghost. And that's maybe more complicated than the actual talk about Force ghosts, but it's a representation of a higher power, whatever that is to the people, the audience, whatever they need that to be. That's how you're going to relate to it. And that's why we see different quotes from different characters about what the Force is, because it's based on their own mindset and relationship to it. And we always see in myth that there's a supernatural power. And we look at just like Joseph Campbell and his study. When you look at myth, it was always about explaining your place and where you were. And they would talk about the Greek gods and them, they control lightning and they control this, because back then people didn't understand anything. So they just had to say, well, there are these angry gods up there and they're throwing lightning bolts and thunder at each other. And they're the gods of war. So the Force is kind of coming down to a different notion of what a higher power is, because we're more educated. We know more things about the world. Well, some people do. There's still people who think the world's flat, but it's okay. We'll get there eventually.
They'll fall off.
Yeah. The Force is about, just that, how we relate to that kind of really high-minded notion of who we are and what our purpose is.
So then that begs the question then, do you think Star Wars, the whole thing, Star Wars, would be what it is today without the Force?
No, absolutely not. I don't think you can have Star Wars without the Force. The Force is Star Wars. Star Wars is the Force.
No, it kind of is essential to the DNA of the story, that supernatural element of it, and just the higher stakes it creates for the Jedi and the Sith. I know a lot of people are like, when we had Luke say the Jedi must end, and then people were like, oh, the Jedi are going to end. I just think that's baked into the DNA of Star Wars, the Jedi and the Sith, and kind of what they represent. You can't take that out of Star Wars.
Right. I guess it's that good versus evil thing. And that's like,
well, and and the important thing too in all this is in episode 7, that great moment where we have Han Solo like acknowledging the Force, because he wasn't a believer, right? He was really down and didn't believe it. And then he's explaining it to like Finn, like, that's not how the Force works, like Han gets it, like he understands it's there, but he can't connect to it, but he knows it's there, and he knows it's operating at some level in his life, that it's there. So, Han is kind of like that kind of believer that he didn't believe at all, but now he's seen enough that he knows it's something. He has faith in it in some way.
Yeah, well, something I want to bring into it, since you're mentioning Han and Star Wars Most Wanted by Ray Carson, there is a character that learns of the Force. He was born on Coruscant. He's a Greedo, whatever a Greedo is. You know what I mean?
Rodian.
Thank you. I'm like, he's a Greedo. And he learns about the Force, and he finds his way of being. He loses basically his entire family, and he finds his way by believing in the Force. And he says continuously throughout the book, may the Force be with us, and the Force is with us. And then at the end, he questions his belief in the Force. And Kira and Han reassure him that, there is a Force and all this stuff. And so it's interesting because Han doesn't really believe in the Force, but yet he's reassuring this character that there is a Force because he knows how much that means to that character. And that helps that character get through life. Mm-hmm. Without the Force, that character would be lost. And so I think it's really important that we acknowledge that there are things out there in every galaxy and in every fandom. You can look in every fandom, there is something similar to the Force. It's just there. It's something that they believe in. It's something that, a character puts their faith in order to lead them and guide them.
So in Harry Potter, would it be basically magic?
I think so. I think magic in a way. I think Dumbledore kind of also serves that and it could be a character. I mean, I think in Lord of the Rings, I think Gandalf, and especially once Gandalf turns into Gandalf the White, he's sort of guiding those characters. It's just there's always something in stories, at least in my opinion. I mean, Trisha, you're the writer as far as fiction goes, and I don't know if you would find that to be true.
Even if you don't explain it, like as a storyteller, you have to have an idea of what that is. And that's kind of where the story group or the brain trust or whatever has to be really careful that they don't do anything that would undermine the whole basic tenet and really shove the idea, the notion of the Force out of whack, where people would be like, oh, well, it doesn't mean what I think it meant anymore. And so they have to like look at that. And it's really interesting because George Lucas was working off Eastern philosophy really when he was looking at the Force and talking about balance. I think he got a little bit more into that as he grew older and read more and thought more about his storytelling because, we have this notion of redemption, which is a very Christian idea that, you could do things and then you can, all of a sudden be forgiven and return to, as I mentioned, the Force Ghost earlier, that it'll all come back. You can
be forgiven,
be done.
Basically.
Yeah. Be forgiven. And it's important to, in the story itself, he's redeemed in his son's eyes. And in the Force, he reconnects with the Force. But it seems like as we've gone on with Star Wars, more of that Eastern philosophy, particularly in the Mortis arc, came out where you really see the idea of balance of there's two parts and that the dark side isn't necessarily evil. The dark side is, and this is reflected in The Last Jedi, it's death, decay, the things that have to happen, like a forest fire, natural disasters are going to happen, but they aren't malicious, as opposed to something like war that is people perpetuating something because they want to take something. They have an evil intention. And then you have the light side with this growth. And so there's this kind of, this struggle between this, like these really Western ideas about religion that a lot of people have in their mindsets and that come out of a lot of storytelling. We get those ideas too from storytelling that are really embedded in those. If you think of like the Chronicles of Narnia, which is literally like the Bible retold.
It totally is.
Yeah. And then you look at these really Eastern ideas that not everybody's, I think they sort of get them, but they don't really get that idea of balance. Those, you have to live your life with purpose and you have to maintain it. Like once you get out of balance, it's really hard to come back from that. And so it's that the Force is, to me, in George's idea, what he was trying to say with Mortis specifically was about that balance. Dark side isn't evil. It's your intentions and your choices that make it evil.
Exactly. I 100% agree with that, especially about the balance. And, there was all the stuff about Anakin bringing balance to the Force, but no one ever really took the time to think what that balance was. Because at the time when Anakin was little, there really wasn't much active on the dark side of the Force in the realm of Sith,
Right, they were hiding.
or that they were aware of. But it's just so funny. It's like, well, what does balance mean? And they automatically assumed that meant that he was going to be good.
Right.
Which I think was a failure on the Jedi's part in that regard. Mm-hmm. To just assume that it would be something that was for them.
Well, yeah, I know even when watching, I assumed that the balance of the Force meant, keeping it all good. But yeah, if it's balanced, you can't tip the scales one way or the other.
Well, and I think it's important for us to all realize that we do have a balance of our own internal force. Every character in Star Wars does. Yep. Nobody's 100% good and nobody's 100% bad. And we all make stupid choices. I mean, it's like, so I think that's part of it too, is the balance of the Force inside of these characters and inside of ourselves at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I look at Rey particularly, and they do a good job of showing Rey. I mean, obviously all the good she does, and she's positive, and they talk about the light and that kind. We see that in her, but like when she jumps into the dark hole and Luke's like so appalled. But I feel like Rey's just already in, because of everything she's done in her life, what she's had to live through. She's already in balance. Yeah. Like she's learned that sometimes you have to whack somebody with a stick because you're not going to live to see the other day. But if you don't have to whack someone with a stick, you don't. That's just, Rey's already there, where it's like, well, if you have to go into that dark, scary place to get an answer, then you do it. But she's learned to kind of check and balance her own self and deal with those things and acknowledge there's darkness, but she deals with it. And as opposed to, we see the Kylo character who just, we know he knows there's light because he's been with light side people for a lot of his life, but he just keeps choosing to turn away from it. Right. Whereas Rey looks at the darkness and she's like, okay, I'm going to come out and do her thing. And Kylo's constantly shown turning his back to it.
Right.
And so I feel like they're trying to say something in these movies, and we'll get it at the end. But the Force is, so the question is maybe more so, do you think the Force, when you look at it, does it have a will? Is it, because people talk about doing the will of the Force, do you think it has a will, or do you think it's just a thing about being in balance?
I think both can exist depending on the individual. The Force could have a will through you depending on what you're doing, where if you aren't concentrating on it, it's just a balance thing. Because I think the Force had a will through Chirrut. I think the Force had a will through Chirrut. And I think it really depends on the individual and how they interpret the Force and whether or not they choose to believe in it. I think the Force exists whether you believe in it or not. Whether you have the ability to
tap into it.
Yeah, to tap into the Force and to be able to be one with the Force depends on you as an individual.
Yeah, it's hard to think of the Force. Well, like Bendu.
He was in the middle.
He was like kind of an embodiment of the Force. And he didn't necessarily have a will.
I think Bendu was a really ancient, powerful creature, and they're never really going to give us an answer, but he just chose to not participate. Because there's that great moment when Kanan's like, well, you have to choose, and he's just choosing not to do anything.
Yeah.
The Bendu chose to do nothing until he was provoked, and then he went back to being alone. So it's really weird. I don't know what he represents yet.
Okay. Well, so I think it's safe to say that the Force is a character, and that Star Wars wouldn't exist without it.
Or the midichlorians.
Oh. Yeah. See, to me, that takes the mystery out of it. And
well, I always thought midichlorians were like mitochondria.
Yep, me too. No, because I was studying like science in school, and that came out, and I'm like, wait, that sounds like mitochondria.
Okay, so maybe you have more mitochondria in your cells.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Well, that brings us to the end of this episode of Fangirls Going Rogue. In between shows, you can visit us over at fangirlsgoingrogue.com. You can find us on Twitter. We're at FGGoingRogue. Trisha is at Fangirl Cantina. I am at Ice Cold Penguin. Sarah is at Jedi Tink. And our social media manager, Sandra, is at Geek Chic 9.
You can email us with your thoughts on the Force or anything else. Contact at fangirlsgoingrogue.com. Check us out on Facebook. Just type Fangirls Going Rogue, and Tumblr, fangirlsgoingrogue.tumblr.com.
We also have our wonderful Facebook group where we have our Saturday night discussions and any other thing that you want to post there. You can request to join that on Facebook and then answer the 2 questions that pop up. We are also on Instagram. We are at FG Going Rogue, and you can leave us a voicemail. That is 331-21-EWOKS.
And please go to iTunes and leave a positive 5-star review. We need your reviews so more people come and find us. And if you leave a review, we'll read it on the next show. Only if it's nice.
Good. I like that. All right. So until next time. Da 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 da. Yub.
Yub. Yub.
That was the best yub.
Oh my God, guys. Have y'all seen the new YA DC books that are being written?
No.
They're like,
wait, is that the one with Captain Marvel on the cover?
No.
Oh.
No. Well, there's a Wonder Woman one. They've done 4. They've done Wonder Woman, Catwoman, Batman, and what is the other one? Superman. And it's all by like authors that are like top YA authors.
Ooh.
And the Catwoman one, I'm reading that. I got it from the library. It's so good.
She has to pee. Let's vamp.
Do you want to see what my podcast doodles look like so far?
Yeah. The Clone Wars saved. She has notes. So you just doodle stuff. Oh, the Titanic is sinking.
Stuff we were talking about. So there's
Doctor Who
and a TIE fighter, a ring, the music.
Wasn't Matt Smith in the Clone Wars?
I don't know. There's the drink and Disneyland. This is Team Fireball at the bottom.
What was the Clone Wars? Wasn't Matt Smith in the Clone Wars?
Oh, I have no idea.
Hu Yang. No, that's David Tennant. Okay, that's why I was confused. Okay, got it.
Okay.
Trisha, you're first.
All right, so this is the time that we acknowledge listeners who participate and talk with us on social media in different places and say thank you. And I want to say thank you personally to Matt Clifton for sharing the Captain.
Oh,
the Cablo.
That was so awesome up until that point.
So awesome. Flail.
That was great. And then that happened.